we're just going to see how we can start to create some additional kind of stylization and displacement within materials. So I'm just going to switch that off for now. I'm just going to create a standard Redshift material, and I'm going to drop that on there. And we're going to kick off our render view, because any changes we make in this material aren't necessarily going to show in our viewport, especially things like displacement, but it's going to be showing in our either our IPR or our render view. And I like to work in the render view. So I'm going to open up my shader graph, and I'm just going to pull it out so we can see. We want to see like everything that's going on, don't we? Because I want to be able to see the changes that I make. Okay, cool. So far, what have we got? We've just got a standard Redshift material node and our output node, and it's on our text. So I'm going to, just for speed, I'm going to stick to using presets and then a couple of textures for this. So in my Redshift material node, I'm just going to use the copper preset for this. And this is going to be the base color of our text. And what else? Let's grab another material node. And we're going to use this. I'm going to start off by creating like some scratches, some like scratch elements on our text. And we're going to use that same kind of scratch map to then create some additional displacement. So I've got my second material, and the second material is going to be the color of my scratches. And so again, for speed, we're just going to grab the iron preset, and we can just plug it into the surface to see what it looks like. And then inside the asset browser, so Julia was showing us, we've got a whole bunch of really cool stuff inside this asset browser that you can just download straight from the cloud. And that includes a bunch of different like texture maps. So we have scratches, smudges, got like greeble maps, like some really cool elements in there. And I'm just going to use this scratch map. So I'm going to drag and drop it into my shader graph. And I'm just going to shut my asset browser so it doesn't get in the way. Cool. So how can we kind of mix all these things together inside of our shader graph? The way that we do that is by using a material blender node. If I just drag and drop that in, our material blender is going to allow us to define a base color, which is going to be our copper, multiple other colors, but we're just going to stick with a second color, which is going to be the iron material. And then we're then going to use this scratch texture map as sort of like a blending mask to blend between the two material nodes. So I'm going to plug my copper material into my base color. I'm going to plug my material blender into my surface. I'm then going to plug my iron material into my layer color 1. Then I'm going to plug my scratch texture into my blend color 2. And so we can now see that this is happening. However, the one thing I have noticed is we need to invert this texture because we have our colors kind of the wrong way around. That's because our blacks and our whites need to be, hit my mic then, need to be inverted. So if we grab a color invert, all we need to do is plug our texture into there and then plug that back into there. And now we have the our materials and our colors the right way round. Okay, let's get a little bit closer so we can see what's going on. So one tip I like to do when I'm using kind of either, like grayscale noises or black and white texture maps, I like to use a ramp to really kind of dial in those black and white values. So if I plug my color invert into my ramp, we just plug it straight into the input, and then that goes back into my blend color 1. We can then come down and we have this inside of the ramp, we have this black and white kind of gradient ramp. And if I start to pull my black values across, we're really upping the black values of this texture. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to do the opposite. I'm going to pull the white values across. So we pull in more of those kind of white values and we get more of those, the scratch color in. Cool, so this is looking all right. But if we sort of move to the side slightly, we can see, this projection is looking a little bit weird. And there is actually a really quick way of fixing this, and it's by using just a simple node called the triplanar node. And what we're going to do, we're going to plug our texture into our image X, and that's just going to go straight into our input, and it's going to fix that projection issue for us. Then we can even remap this texture in the triplanar. And so I ended up, when I was having a look at this earlier, I just changed these values to something like this, and I think the projection looks quite nice. Cool, so now we can take this entire section here, and we can now use this as displacement in our, or on our text. So all we do is grab a displacement node, and then we're going to plug that into the text map, and then our displacement plugs directly into our output. But nothing happens, and that's because we need to do one more step before we can actually see this displacement on our geometry. So I'm going to close my shader graph for now because I don't actually need it anymore. Everything is now set up. And on my text, I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to Redshift tags and Redshift object tag. And under the geometry tab, let me just pull this up, we need to override our geometry, and then we need to enable our displacement. And now we have some displacement on our text that is all, it's super fast because it's all just based on this material node. And we can still come back into here, and we can, you know, just write the word like Maxon, and it's all going to update in real time because it's all on a texture. And this was actually what I did. Oh my God, so I just realized it's for me 6 o'clock on the hour. Sorry, one more thing I'm going to show you quickly. So the hero image was this file. Oh, open. Oh, here we go. Cool. So yeah, this is basically what I did for the for like the hero shot. Was I just had some text that said titles, and inside of here, it's basically just the same setup, just a little bit kind of more going on. So I have a diffuse and metalness texture in here, which is like this carbon fiber texture, which is our base material, which is plugged into our material blender. I then did the same kind of effect that we just did, which was, you know, grabbing a platinum preset and then using a scratch map, inverted into a ramp into blend color. I then grabbed another material, which is then being kind of masked with this like smudge, and all of this is found in the asset browser. And then I used a greeble map into the displacement. It's also into the reflection roughness, and I plugged that into the displacement of my output. And I think, and it creates this really kind of interesting effect, which is, you know, super fast because it's all just in the texture. And again, we can, you know, we can come in, we can change our text line, and it's all going to update and just be on there. So yeah, a couple of different ways of stylizing slash deforming text in Cinema 4D.